Is he just a little bit obstreperous?
Let's head down to Maggie, get an update.
Guys, I do think we're going to see a late scratch here. I haven't heard it over the radio, but we saw the guys switching the numbers on the gate, and they have. Javier Castellano has taken the tack off of Khufu here, so he will be a late scratch, as a pretty significant scratch, as he is your current, or was your current second choice. But it's okay. I didn't really like him. As number 7 is Eminency. He is clear-cut favorite now. This is a horse that, as you guys were saying, has had his chances. He looks great. He's actually sharper and stronger than what I've seen from him in the past. But ultimately, I do feel as though he's a horse that the less ground, the better. I know, I'm splitting hairs, half a furlong, who cares? But I think when you're coming down to it with a short price favorite, it's something to think about. He's just a small, compact type of individual where there just might be some other horses finishing a bit better than he. Andy's horse, number 3, Modern Minus, or I should say Jeremiah Engel's horse, and Jeff Drowns. But the horse that Andy likes here, and I picked him last time because I thought he looked fantastic, and I thought he would be quicker, but unfortunately he stumbled. I'm still under the impression that this horse should show more speed, and Jose Lescano gave him a big warm-up. I mean, as soon as he got away from the pony, he gunned him and really got him like into the bridle, and he's sharp as they are awaiting to load into the gate. So I like him here again. I think he will be quick. So maybe, too, getting out to a little bit of a longer distance will help him be a bit closer, Greg.
Maggie, thanks. With that late scratch of the 2, and we may have another horse. We do have another horse coming out here. The 5 is out as well. So we just saw the 7 go to even money, and now might get even shorter.
Well, let me say, if you bet either the 2 or 5, you should be very happy the horse got scratched, because you don't want to bet them if there was a situation with them. So unfortunately, they won't run, and we're not going to let horses run if anybody feels there's an issue with them. So, and of course, odds dropped down. The 1 came down to 3 to 1, and the 7's now 4 to 5. Okay, it's a 5-horse field.
But as you said, there's still a couple of intriguing horses in here, like the 1 aggregation, the 3 Modern Midas, 3 to 1, 6 to 1 on the board respectively. Ways to look beyond a 4 to 5 favorite here.
I'm playing against the 7. I bet the 3 to win. I use them exacts the 1 and a little bit of 8 as well. But I'm going to try to get a little 1-3 home.
And, you know, Eminency, Flowing River, the 7 and the 8 coming out of that same race. Any reason to think that Flowing River could turn the tables?
Yeah, if he gets loose in this race. Because speed has been good. And I think that's something you have to worry about. And if he's able to get loose, I think he absolutely could do it. I don't think that he's good enough based on the I mean, why is he supposed to beat the 7 based on the last race? But maybe he gets loose. And maybe he's just making his third start to improve.
Not many others
have
shown a ton of pace in here.
I mean, what happens if the 3 breaks? Who knows? Maybe the 3 actually does have speed. I'm not saying he does, but we don't know that he doesn't. What if Aggregation's a new horse? I mean, there's a lot. That's one of the things. There's too many questions in this field to just be taking the 7 and even money who's had his chances, at least for me.
No, in agreement. Short number on a horse who's now getting a 5th chance. 3 seconds in 4 tries. And there is your favorite, the apprentice Jose Gomez aboard. Again, for Rudy Rodriguez, it's pick 4 time. Let's go upstairs. John Imbrial, the call.
Set now for the 7th race. And they're off. Slow start for number 3, Modern Midas. He's at the back. Aggregation from the inside post is away well. On the outside is Flowing River. Eminency in between horses, and now it's 3 of them across, and the front 3 have opened up 7 lengths on a Modern Midas and got the gold. Eminency and Flowing River, and those 2 are heads apart, with Aggregation now sitting just off of them in 3rd. 4 lengths back to Modern Midas, and then got the gold, the quarter, 22 and 4. Eminency is the leader here. Aggregation, Flowing River, right together, 2nd and 3rd. Modern Midas has now drawn within 4.5 lengths of the lead. Got the gold is at the back. It is Eminency in front here now by 2 lengths as they go around the far turn. It's Eminency in front. Flowing River, Aggregation are right together. The half, 45 and 4. Modern Midas will be swung wide as they come for the top of the stretch. Got the Gold is the trailer. Eminency is the leader. Aggregation is down at the rail and coming on. It is Eminency and Aggregation with Modern Midas now moving into third. Aggregation has taken over the lead from Eminency. It's Aggregation in front and drawing away. Aggregation about to pick up his maiden victory, and Manny Franco's about to pick up his 3rd win today. Aggregation over Eminency and Modern Midas.
Aggregation, 2nd start, 3-year-old debut, wins for the Chad Brown barn. Modern Midas again did not break.
Yeah, I mean, obviously the finish would have been 1-3 if the 3 got out of the gate, but I don't think that he was beating this horse. But he definitely would have been second, which would have been fine with me. You could see, I think, that you saw a different horse with this horse right at the start, Greg, because he broke basically on top. And while Manny let the 7 and 8 go, he held that position on the rail. The rail's been very good. The 7's just not, he's just not that good. And this horse really ran today. And the track's pretty quick, but this is a nice performance by him. And what we talked about, there were possibilities of different horses. Well, the 2 scratched, but the only other horse that was sort of the real new face, he beat him. And the 3 would have beaten the 7 as well. He just can't get out of the gate, but he tipped his hand on that before.
2-1, beating an even money favorite here in the 7th at Aqueduct. So we'll have these prices for you when we get back to it. We're going to head back over to Hot Springs, Arkansas, race 7 at Oaklawn, an allowance optional claiming field at 6 furlongs. As we look at Southern Grace, who was beat last out by Joyful Cadence, who had put together a couple of wins in a row. Daughter of Run Happy, who's been pretty impressive at the meet for John Ortiz.
No, I agree. That horse has gotten okay. She was okay. I thought she ran fairly well in this race. She seems sort of logical. And the other thing that's good for her is she might be the speed of the speed in this. I'm sorry, she might be able to sit outside the other speeds, because it does feel like the 1 has speed, the 3 has speed, and maybe she can be the one that stalks outside of them. If you feel like the pace is going to collapse, I guess you probably like Well Spent, the 6.
And we're going to take a look at her here now. She's trained by Robertino Diodoro. 2 for 3 at Oaklawn. Her only try on an off track. It's listed as muddy right now. It was a win. It was a sloppy track, though, at a different track at Churchill. Let's look back on March 6th.
Yeah, and she's also just an improved horse since she came to Robertino Diodoro.
How did she win this race? That break.
It's funny how they run for Robertino Diodoro. She got obviously a very quick pace. I mean, they did go 21 and 3 and 45 and 3. So, in fairness, it set up well for her despite the bad start. But she ran well, and there is legitimate speed here, because there is potential between the 1, 3, and 5 for the pace to get kind of hot here, which will help Well Spent. And I thought the 5 and 6 were really the right 2 in here.
Well, she looked like Bob's Edge in that race. It's going to be trying to deal with Jackie's Warrior later today in the Count Fleet.
If you bet her today, you may hope she doesn't look like Bob's Edge today.
You don't like him today?
Well, forgetting about the fact that Jackie's Warrior is a better horse, and it's his first start, and Bob's Edge has run well. I'm not knocking him. Where's the pace going to come from in that race?
Yeah.
I mean, that's the problem, right? It's quite an assemblage of horses, to be fair. I mean, they obviously hustled a lot of people to run. I don't know why it's a $500,000 race, but outside of Bob's Edge and Jackie's Warrior, there's a decided gap, right, in the talent of the other 4 runners.
And Pirate Gold has a little bit of talent.
Yeah,
Maybe
no,
can
I'm
put
not
some
saying
pressure.
they're terrible horses, but they're not in the league of those 2.
Yeah.
I mean, look at it this way. What price would Bob's Edge be in here if Jackie's Warrior wasn't in the race? Huge favorite, right?
See what happens here in this 7th. Plenty of speed signed on. As Andy mentioned, the 1 quick. So is the 2, Connie K. 3 has speed. Oscarette went gate to wire last out. The 4.
Connie K., the winner of the Down the Dusty Road.
Put together 3 in a row. John Courtney already got a win today. Looking for another here. Teaming up with Randy Morse, 3 for 3 on this track. Vic Stauffer, the call. Here's the 7th from Oaklawn.
They're at the post. They're off. Connie Kay wins the break from Southern Grace and Oscarette. Alberta Sun away in fourth. Well Spent passes her into fourth. I'm the Boss of Me at the rail, and the trailer is Hot as a Pistol, and the leader is Oscarette. Oscarette up the backstretch, a full length in front of I'm the Boss of Me and Southern Grace. Connie Kay is fourth and about 2.5 from the front. Well Spent just outside of her. Alberta Sun is second to last with 6 lengths to make up, and she's 5 in front of Hot as a Pistol as Oscarette rounds the far turn with the lead. Well Spent is fourth now, but she could quickly get into third or second, and she's on the move outside of Southern Grace. Oscarette leads by a length. Southern Grace and Well Spent are together now, second and third. 2.5 back to Connie Kay, fourth and about 4 from the front. 2.5 to I'm the Boss of Me. Here's Well Spent in the center. She challenges Southern Grace. Connie Kay, the Arkansas bred, is running a very big race, and here she comes in the center of the racetrack. So now it's down to Southern Grace or Connie Kay, and Southern Grace has the lead. Connie Kay running her heart out in second. Southern Grace, Connie Kay. Southern Grace turns away Connie Kay and wins. Southern Grace won by 2. Connie Kay was second. I'm the Boss of Me third. Maybe Alberta Sun for fourth.
Southern Grace, Brad Cox, Ricardo Santana Jr. with a win.
You would have thought, if you knew the 1 and 3 were going to get left, that she wired the field, but Joel Rosario got very aggressive with Oscarette. She had absolutely nothing when they hit the top of the stretch. Southern Grace was able to hold off a nice run by Connie Kay, the Arky bred, against Open Company.
3-1 goes off as the mild favorite in here.
It's a pretty generous price, right?
Yeah.
You don't see Brad Cox at 3-1 a lot. I've seen him run goats that were 3-1 sometimes. This is pretty good.
Brad Cox, of course, with a horse trying to prove he's a dirt horse, trying to get into the Derby later today in the Lexington, part of a cross-country Pick 5. Sprint duel, indeed, coming up at the Count Fleet later on this afternoon in Hot Springs. The reigning sprint champion, Jackie's Warrior, and Bob's Edge, the horse for course, trying to win his 3rd stake at the meet this season. Bob's Edge, we'll be back.
Stay fabulous. Resorts World. Back on America's Day at the races, Brooklyn Bridge there. If you come to New York, you gotta do your walk across it. Program brought to you by America's Best Racing. For the love of the race, visit americasbestracing.net today. Aggregation, Chad Brown, Klarovich, and Manny Franco 3-year-old debut. Just start number 2 for this horse, showing a lot of improvement.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought this horse actually ran a nice race, and just a completely different horse too than we saw in Saratoga, right? Saratoga, the horse is back in last, and he made an ineffectual run. Today, breaks sharply, and at the end of the day, if you look at a lot of the success that Chad Brown especially has been having with the Klarovich horses, but in general, they've been 3-year-olds. That right. Look at early voting, but there have been a whole bunch of others. They didn't really run as 2-year-olds. They got a chance to mature, and this horse just wasn't ready to run when he ran as a 2-year-old.
$6.80, 31 to 1 start, I should say, to the late pick 5. Now an even money favorite, defeated. 2 legs in to the pick 5 sequence with a long way still to go. But if you were alive with that start, pretty darn good. 8th race will be on the turf. It is a mile and a 16, 50,000 starter allowance. And current favorite, the 8 in here at 6-5, high tide for Carlos Martin.
I can't believe by post time, and I want to look at my my Naira Bets account, I can't believe that this horse is going to be favored over number 10 on the outside, right? I mean, there are the 2 logical horses in here, but it feels like I'm just looking. No, believe it or not, the 8's a very slight favorite in doubles.
Really?
That's surprising, right?
Yeah, I thought Hilliard for sure would be the favorite.
Yeah, I'm going to take a small shot with Tom Morley off the claim. He's had some very good success with a minimal number of starters off the claim, first time on the grass.
Race that a lot of people in this sport are talking about today, that showdown with the reigning champion sprinter returning, Jackie's Warrior in the Grade 3 Count Fleet at Oaklawn. We will be off the air by the time it goes off, but you can catch it on the Naira Bets app. This was the Alan Jerkins, one of the great races of the year in that showdown with Life is Good.
Oh, this was one of the greatest races of the last decade, if not more. I mean, this is it's great when you get these matchups of top horses, and make no mistake, these are 2 of the best horses in the country, and then to square off and put on a performance like this and a show like this on a big day, that's what makes racing great.
Life is Good would, of course, go on to win the Breeders' Cup Dirt Mile. Jackie's Warrior would go on to win an Eclipse Award. And now coming back as a 4-year-old, he obviously exited that Breeders' Cup Sprint with a bone chip in his knee. But it looks like by his workouts coming back that is long behind him. Yeah,
I mean, you never know until they come back and run. And listen, he could need a race, and Bob's Edge has had that recency. So in that department, Bob's Edge really has an advantage. But he's a better horse than Bob's Edge. And I think this is a pivotal race in a lot of ways for Bob Edge. He doesn't have to win. He's got to run well to see if he wants to run in sort of the big races that Jackie's Warrior is going to go to. But Jackie's Warrior, he's already got a pretty good resume.
All kinds of races. They're fun. Seeing that race that we showed you, 2 horses that were dueling neck and neck, that's fun. But this race is going to be a lot of fun, too, because it's a horse 2 horses that have 2 very, very different styles.
Yes. The problem for Bob's Edge is that the running style of Jackie's Warrior in this race really helps him. And while a smaller field, you say, well, for a closer, it's a little easier. Well, the problem is these bigger fields feature very contested, fast paces. He was really one of these
Still
visually
not your
impressive
screen.
horses.
There he is.
I mean, I think we all thought maybe he's just not running today. And he really kicked in. And he's been terrific. I have no knock on him. It's just he's not fast enough based on those races to beat the good Jackie's Warrior. But maybe Jackie's Warrior, won't be quite at his best. And he's got the races under his belt. So that gives him an edge.
Different horse, totally. But, Nashville came back. We all expected a lot from him. He got beat in his debut.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Yeah.
It can happen.
He won at Fairgrounds before running last week at Keeneland. Poor Nashville. He's a talented horse, but
and back to Bob's Edge for a moment. His King Cotton I thought was even more impressive. The move he made in that race.
I think he's run very well in both of his races. He had shown some flashes last year, but he's put it together this year. And you've got the True North Belmont Stakes weekend at Belmont. You've got the Grade 1 Vanderbilt at Saratoga, the Grade 1 Forgo. Anybody that's a top sprinter, unless you're in California, these are the races that you're going for. And I think the connections want to see an excellent effort from Bob's Edge to give them maybe the sort of encouragement to come and take on the big boys. And who's to say he can't take that step forward? I mean, based on the races he's run, ex-Jackie's Warrior, I think he fits with the horses we saw in a lot of the stakes last year. Is that fair?
Yeah, I mean, probably outside of that horse at his best.
Yeah, I
He's
think
right
he
there
very
with
much
anyone.
belongs. And, you know, until you see Jackie's Warrior do it, you don't know that he's going to be able to do it.
We all expect him to do it, though, don't we?
Oh, we do. And I'm a huge Jackie's Warrior fan. I'm not rooting against him. I hope he comes back and runs great. But you're still supposed to take your shot against him.
Well, we're both surprised that this horse is not your favorite in this next one here at Aqueduct. Hilliard coming back for his 4-year-old debut. Dylan Davis will be aboard for Mike Maker. He is 7-2 right now. We'll be back with a post parade next.
Whether it's Division I or Grade 1, top athletes have certain traits in common. Speed, strength, class, versatility, and most of all, willpower. Claiborne Farm Stallion, War of Will, was a Grade 1 winner on both dirt and turf. Now, his first foals are taking the field.
Who you betting on? How about an app created specifically for horse racing? Naira Bets. We specialize in thundering hooves, fist pumping, and boosting your bankroll with robust weekly promotions. And offer betting tips from actual horse racing experts. Bet all day and night, nationwide. Get the action and thrill of horse racing with Naira Bets.
Blood Horse Plus, available through bloodhorse.com, provides exclusive, timely, and unmatched content to subscribers, including Fox Sports, Blood Horse branded weekly programs, a detailed stakes winners section, behind-the-scenes videos from Blood Horse staff, on-demand access to deeper horse statistics, and a $5 monthly credit to equineline.com. Upgrade to Blood Horse Plus today.
How does horse racing support New York's economy? It's responsible for 19,000 jobs and more than $3 billion in annual statewide economic impact. These good-paying jobs support working families across the state and sustain thousands of small businesses both on and off the track. Horse racing in New York means jobs and opportunities now and in the future. We are New York horse racing.
We are back on America's Day at the Races program, brought to you by Naira Bets. Bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Get signed up and started just in time. 3 weeks away from the Triple Crown, that first leg, that first Saturday in May. Final prep, of course, today, part of a cross-country Pick 5. This race, mile and a 16th on the inner turf, 50,000 starter allowance, and that is Hilliard. If you can get 7-2 on this horse at post time, be all over that.
I don't think he got 7-2, but I don't think he's going to be favored in here. And maybe they just feel he needs one off the layoff. But this is his race 2 back, where he actually finished a length that had a high tide. High tide probably has a little bit more speed than he does, so he could be more forward. But Hilliard ran terrific in the Hill Prince, that paceless race, finishing 4th, finished ahead of Soldier of Fortune, who had run well in a couple of our turf triple races. And he seemed like the horse to beat. Hilliard, but both these horses are coming off layoffs, as you often see with turf horses this time of the year. They're the two. We'll see.
We finished ahead of High Tide for him 2 starts back. That was in early October. He's coming off the bench, though. Let's go downstairs to Maggie.
We'll take a look, though, at Hilliard. And as you guys said, he ran very well in his last start, which was in the Grade 2 Hill Prince, in which race dominated up front. Only horse to really make up significant ground late. And he comes back here. He is a horse that, historically kind of speaking, he always gives the appearance of needing a start off the bench. So maybe that's why we don't see him as a significant favorite. I'm just guessing here, I don't know. But as of now, not a significant favorite, because on form he looks as though he should be. He's very healthy, and I gotta say, this horse has come a long way mentally from his early stages in his career. He's so laid back now and just takes his racing well in stride. But we'll see how he does. I'm not gonna be surprised though if he jumps up and wins here, only being about 90% fit. As we move on to his inside, a new face coming up from Gulfstream Park is number 9, Lord of War, for trainer Mark Cassie. Now, he did break his maiden on synthetic. Looking at him, he doesn't strike you as a turf horse per se. He kind of looks like an in-between horse, which usually lends itself well to the Davita surface because he's a little bit more narrow, kind of more up and down feet. But I don't mind him here. And yes, there are some other horses that could be forward in here, but at least he will be forward. And I think he might be okay. So I'm a little interested in Lord of War. He just paints a nice picture here in the paddock. We'll see, because his last race on the turf, albeit going the 7.5 furlongs, that figure does make him a bit of a fringe player. As we'll move on to a horse that's taking a lot of money. I'm a little shocked. Maybe it's the power of Andy Sterling, as he did pick Jinzu Warrior. Now, there's some things I like about this horse that my husband Tom Morley has done, namely gelding him, because he was a very, very heavy animal. He needed gelded, and it's tucked him up a bit, as Tom just said. I put it on the scale, and he has lost 37 pounds since the day after we claimed him, which horses usually will lighten up with a race. So the fact that he still weighed quite a bit the day after he ran tells you a bit about this horse's physical makeup. He does have a turf hoof, so I'm very intrigued to see what he does on the turf. The dam ran okay on it. She never won on it. The second dam was a stakes winner on the turf, and the dam actually, ironically, a half-sister to Switzerland, multiple Grade 1 winning sprinter. But the problem with him is this spot. He's a 3-year-old. And he looks like a 3-year-old against some older horses. So, you know, I'm going to cautiously and optimistically watch this guy transfer to the turf, which I think is a surface he'll like. And look for two, this is a guy who has also had trouble getting out of the gate, Greg, and I do think gelding will help with that.
Yeah, thanks, Maggie. Ginsu Warrior, he stumbled each of his last couple trying to get out of the gate. We'll see how he fares first off the claim here for Tom Morley. 5-1 right now.
Yeah, he's a terrible bet at 5-1, and I picked him. But, I mean, you know, you're picking a horse like this. This horse's dirt races are pathetic. I mean, they don't give him – if he doesn't improve, I don't know, Greg,
30, 40.
10 lengths off of those races, and he could.
Yeah.
And he's got a little bit of pedigree, not a ton, but a little bit of pedigree. He's got a trainer who's had success doing this before. But you got to get paid when you bet horses like this. And I'm too stupid to have realized I should have bet doubles, and I should be allowed in the double, which is like $53 for a dollar, and then it wouldn't matter that he's overbet. But, geez, you got to get at least 10 or 12-1 in a horse like this, don't you? I mean, you're never going to be right with a horse like this 1 out of 6 times. Never. It's just not going to happen. You might be right 1 out of 15 times or 12 times. Might. This is ridiculous.
You sound like someone that's been around the track quite a few times and been burned.
Well, I think you agree, though. I mean,
No,
listen,
yeah.
I love betting on, you know, sort of goofy first-time turf horses with pedigrees that can't run in the dirt. Because when you win, you get $43. Or that have to analyze it. We were up here over the winter, paid like $80. You can afford to be right 1 out of 15, 20 times and make money. But you're not going to be right 1 out of 7 with those horses.
Yeah, it's short number here, getting on the turf for the first time here. Coming up, this 4-horse, meanwhile, Linda Rice, Brazilian Air, broke his maiden in a 40 maiden claimer at Aqueduct. He's 7-1.
He's the kind of horse that just sort of hangs around and hopefully one day gets lucky and wins a race. But in the meantime, he keeps picking up checks and paying his way. But he's been a short price and been around the finish much more often than in the winner's circle.
So we're going to see great workout first. Rudy Rodriguez claiming off of Linda Rice with this one.
Well, this horse is a 3/4 to Mo Reddy because Mo Reddy was sired by Uncle Mo, who's the sire of the sire that won, and they're halves. So that's why Rudy probably claimed this one, but for Mike Rapoli, I'm going to put it on the turf.
Again, Brazilian Air, Linda Rice, Eric Cancel.
He's a fringe player at best, but he's got to hope that the good horses don't run.
Trying something new off the claim. Tom Morley with Ginsu Warrior, the 5-1.
Yeah, it's one thing to have a wise guy horse at 15-1. It's another one to have him as an underlay. And this guy, I think he's a little interesting, but he's a massive underlay.
Speed with spectatorless, 29-1.
And he's helped by the scratch of the number 1 coming out, which will increase his chances, whatever minimal chances they are.
Trevor McCarthy, Barley 1. He's looking for his 3rd today.
Well, I like that Keith O'Brien claimed a New York bred that was running down at Fairgrounds, right? This horse should be running in New York. It only run once here. Didn't run that badly, and he's got good races that give him a chance.
4-time winner on the turf. The 8 High Tide, Carlos Martin, still the favorite at 8-5.
I can see liking him, and I can see his good races being good enough. I just can't see betting him at 2-1 or 8-5.
Lord of War, the apprentice Jose Gomez for Marcassi.
I get Maggie was talking about this horse. I wonder how far this horse may want to go, and he's got other speed to deal with, but he is going to be forwardly placed, which may help his chances. Scratch the One helped him.
And Hilliard at 3-1. I like that appearance.
I mean, you look at Hilliard and High Tide. I think if you picked High Tide, part of the reason you did it was you thought he'd be a better price. And that's the problem with being, doing public handicapping. You don't get the chance to go back and say, well, I would have picked this one if they knew they were a better price.
Yeah.
So I think he's as likely, probably more likely to win than High Tide, and shouldn't be a bigger price.
5 minutes away from this 8th here in New York. You can play all the action, of course, with Naira Bets. Get signed up, started. Download the app. That's the offer. $200 deposit match sign-up bonus with that promo code. Stakes 200 for new members. And bet any track, anywhere, anytime. Just in time for Triple Crown season, Saratoga this summer. It's going to be, in a lot of ways, we're just starting the year, really.
Yeah, I mean, this is a great time of the year for racing with the Triple Crown coming. We'll be at Belmont Park in a little over a week, and I know that makes you happy. I know how much you love being there, and I do too. I can see you're smiling right away. It's a great place to spend it. People are always saying to us, we go to Belmont, they say, bet you can't wait for Saratoga. And I'm like, I don't know. I'm going to enjoy Belmont for a couple months before getting up to Saratoga. There's just a lot of good racing to look forward to here, other places, but this is a great time. It's also a time of year if you're like me, and I know you I don't love winter. It's cold. It's getting warm out. I was out in the Paddock today. It's nice to be outside in the nice weather and do that at Belmont, whether we're on the set or we're not on the air. We get to take a walk around a little bit. It's just a good time of the year for everybody.
And it means some trips on the Long Island Railroad for me.
There you go. I know you love the Long Island Railroad. Well, it's tough for you where you live. You have to go all the way around if you want to take the train, the subway.
I still think at 5-2, I like Hilliard.
I agree, and I don't know where he ends up, but I would rather bet Hilliard than the 8 at a bigger price. And I'll tell you what, I'd rather bet Hilliard. They're both 2-1 right now. I'm going to say the 8 and 10 are both better bets at 2-1 than my 5 is at 5-1. I'm not betting the 5 at 5-1. Yeah. I'm annoyed I didn't bet doubles. It was stupid of me not to think of it. I didn't like the 1. 7, I would have bet 1 and 3 in the doubles, basically.
So you were taking a shot with him, obviously with the change, with the claim.
Yeah.
What would you say is a price you say I could take him, the 5?
No less than 10-1.
Yeah.
No less than 10-1. I honestly, to be honest with you, when I picked him, I thought it was a little embarrassing that I was picking him. I thought it might even be, he's the kind of horse that normally I like to pick second, because you have to be careful with goofy priced horses. Now I'm even more embarrassed because he's a big underlay.
Let's go down to Maggie for more.
Oh, Andy, it's okay. I thought it was funny when you texted Tom a couple nights ago about picking this horse. I didn't think he'd be 5-1. He might be that short because he has been working really well, and he's actually been outworking a New York bred stakes horse that runs on the turf named Ocala Dream, who ran a good 4th on his comeback race here in a much tougher field. But yeah, 5-1. So I don't have that much confidence in this horse whatsoever. So let's talk a little bit about a big price, and that's number 3. Great Workout, a reclaim for the Rupoli stable as they bred this one, and a 3/4 brother to Mo Reddy, who had gone 3 for 313 on the turf in his career. I know they tried the turf back at Saratoga, and he really didn't run that well. I mean, he had no excuse whatsoever. But I just thought it was interesting that they reclaim him. I thought he would like the turf. He has a physicality to say that he should like it. And furthermore, he just looks like a more developed animal than what he did going back to his 3-year-old campaign. So I'm a little intrigued by him. He's a big price, so I think he's one that you could definitely use underneath, Greg.
At a big number. Thank you, Maggie. Minute to post, and look who's become the favorite.
Well,
Hilliard.
Yeah. Now I like the other horse at 5-2.
I'm with you.
We're covering all bases here, Greg. Well, I'll give you an example. Last race yesterday, I picked the 3 who ran 3rd. I thought he beat a bigger price than the 5 who won at 9-1. Did you think the 5 was kind of an overlay that won the last race here at 9-1?
New audience joining us as I try and remember who that was. Welcome to those just joining us. on SNY. Good to have you with us. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Maggie Wolfendale, Gary Stevens out in Hot Springs. We're getting set for the 8th coming up here in New York. We have more coming up from Oaklawn and Hot Springs, Arkansas as well. And it's post time right now. Horses making their way onto the lawn for this 50,000 starter allowance ahead. The 8-5 favorite. It had been the 8 really throughout the wagering, High Tide, and now it becomes the 10 Hilliard, who was finished ahead of High Tide, the 8, just 2 starts back.
And that's the only movement on the board. Do you feel like everybody else is basically with the same price for the last 15 minutes? How does my 5-horse, Ginsu Warrior, has never drifted higher than 5-1? Just keeps coming in. But the 10 is now favored. That's what we expected beforehand. We'll see what plays out. They are the 2 horses to beat.
Oh, and you were, for may not make sense to people just joining us, but you were asking me about the last race yesterday.
Yeah.
Cadencia, you were against?
Oh, that horse was 0 for 9 with 5 seconds. You had to bet against that horse. And either the 2 horses bet against were the horses that ran first and third.
I couldn't believe, this might be the one went off at that price.
Right, the horse was, and that's what I'm saying. That
Yeah.
was a horse that if you knew the horse would be 9-1 and you're picking for the race, if you're picking against the favorite, you'd go for that horse.
And you get even more aggressive probably when you saw that price, yeah.
I think you have to view it as a bettor when you make your picks and you try to guess the prices. And you say, I may think this horse is the 3rd likeliest winner, but I think he's going to be 12-1, so I'll pick him on top. Because I think he's probably should be 6-1.
And part of this discussion, the fact that Andy had selected the 5, for those who weren't with us, Ginsu Warrior, trying the turf for the first time, would need a big move forward, but he thought you'd be getting around 15 or 20-1, not 5-1.
How could this horse be 5-1 in this field? I mean, this horse's dirt races are pathetic. And it's not like he has some screaming turf pedigree.
The power of your selection.
Yeah, well, there's a power of something else. People aren't that dumb to be loading up. They might take a little money early, but...
Hutton-like.
Yeah, right.
3-2 now outside on Hilliard.
Yeah, and
he's making his 4-year-old debut. His, for what it's worth, the only time you really see him coming off any kind of extended layoff, he did not run well.
But do we think that he's...
Although he had a big excuse that day.
Do we also think, though, he's a dramatically improved horse since Mike Maker got him?
Yeah, no question.
And I think that's a big factor here. So, listen, I think they're the right prices, 3-2 and 5-2, the 10 and 8. At those prices, I don't have a particular preference. Is that fair?
Yes.
And at 5-1, I'm just stunned this horse is this price.
The 9, just the fact that there's going to be other pace in the race, mainly the 6.
How is the 6 not going here?
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for my man Louis Cardenas to get his first win since coming back. I don't think it'll be this one, though. But there's hope.
I already had, a $69 winner on the card today. This horse 45-1. But it's the 8 High Tide, the 10 Hilliard dominating the wagering. We are set for the 8th from New York. Let's go to John and Brielle.
They're in the gate. And the rough. Brazilian Air and Spectatorless. Those 2 go out for the early lead. And it is Brazilian Air in front. Spectatorless right there on the outside in second, with Barley One next in third. Ginsu Warrior down at the rail in fourth. And then it's Lord of War next in fifth. Followed by Great Workout and Hilliard. Those 2 are together. And High Tide is the early trailer in eighth as they head for the turn. And it is Brazilian Air with the lead. Spectatorless, the gray on the outside, runs in second. Barley One and Ginsu Warrior right together, third and fourth, opening quarter mile in 23-1. Then it's a break of about 4.5 lengths back to Lord of War. And on the inside, it is Great Workout. On the outside is Hilliard, and farther back is High Tide. As they continue up the backstretch after a half and 47-4, Brazilian Air, Spectatorless, they remain 1-2. Barley One and Ginsu Warrior, they are right together, third and fourth, 2.5 lengths to Great Workout in fifth. In between horses is Lord of War. And on the outside, Hilliard now begins to move, and the move of Hilliard is followed by High Tide. Midway on the turn, it is Brazilian Air, Spectatorless, Barley One on the outside. High Tide continues to gain. Looking for a way through there towards the inside is Hilliard. Here comes High Tide up to challenge Brazilian Air. High Tide has swept to the lead. a last to first move, and High Tide is opening up here on the field. High Tide, impressive from off the pace here. High Tide, much the best. Photo for second between pace-setting Brazilian Air and Hilliard.
High Tide, you saw him making that big move around the second turn, and he just sustained it all the way through the stretch.
He should have been favored, Greg. I don't know if you heard that. But yeah, I mean, I think Dylan got himself in a little trouble being overly cute with the 10, but it wouldn't have mattered. This horse absolutely destroyed the field. Congratulations to Carlos Martin and the connections, M&A Racing, LTD, and Jose Lizcano, who took the unencumbered route around them. And as far as my overbet selection, Ginsu Warrior, he's not a lot better in the turf than he is in the dirt.
This horse was as low as 8-5.
Yeah.
At one point. Goes off at 5-2.
Favored in doubles.
Let's take a look at today's races. For those who have just joined us on SNY, here's what's ahead. Presented by Claiborne. Race 9 and 10 from New York. And races 8 through 10 ahead of those, I believe it's muddy now at Oaklawn conditions. We will still have for you coming up. And let's check in at Oaklawn. This 8th race, mile and a 16th, low-level claiming group here. 3-year-olds and up who have not won 3, who have not won since April 16th of last year. And the 3 Arrival, the Diodoro barn, 9-5 favorite.
Yeah, well, it's Diodoro off the claim, and it seems like the speed.
Real quick, my mistake. So back to, it was muddy, back down to sloppy. I guess they got more rain.
All right. Glad I'm not there. It's beautiful here, South Ozone Park.
Anyway, you were saying.
He just feels like he's the speed of the speed, and I know he's had his share of chances lately, but off the claim for Diodoro, I like the favorite, 3. Sorry, not against him. 5 and 6 look like the other horses to me.
Yeah, awesome Saturday the 6th, 0-4-7 at Oaklawn.
Oh, for his last 2 years, too.
Long time for him. Vic Stauffer, the call here is the 8th start of the late pick 5 sequence in Hot Springs.
And make noise. They're at the post. They're off. Awkward start for Awesome Saturday. Good start for Lock Garmin and Make Noise. And Make Noise is asked for speed by Kelsey Harn. Look at her clear off. Make Noise to the front from Lock Garmin in second. Eagle Maniac, Arrival, and Strike a Beat are next. Then Awesome Saturday, and the trailer is All West. From the outside to the front and to the rail if she wants it. Make Noise is aggressive to the backstretch, and she leads Lock Garmin by 2 lengths. Here's an early move by Awesome Saturday. Going to move all the way up from last early into a joint second, and he's tugging at Martin Garcia. Martin wants him to sit third. Awesome Saturday wants the front, and he's 2 from that. 2 lengths to Eagle Maniac, Strike a Beat, and Arrival. All West is the trailer, 7th and last, midway on the backstretch, and Make Noise is challenged by Lock Garmin. Make Noise kept to the center of the racetrack. She's ahead in front of Lock Garmin in second. Awesome Saturday has now settled down for Garcia and is a good spot. 3rd and 2 from the front with Arrival just inside of him. Strike a Beat and All West have 4 lengths to make up, and then it's 2.5 back to Ego Maniac. Make Noise back in front, but Awesome Saturday now comes after him. Lock Garmin is gone. Make Noise 3/4 of a length. Awesome Saturday is second. Arrival has moved through between horses. All West is 4 wide and on the move. And here comes All West, and he's up into second as Awesome Saturday has dropped out. So Make Noise is the leader with All West alongside. Strike a Beat has taken over third, and here's All West to claim the front. And he's got a 2-length lead on Make Noise in second. Arrival is third, and Strike a Beat is fourth, but All West is now clear, and a 16th out. He's just running up the score. All West is now 5 in front of Make Noise, Arrival, and Strike a Beat. All West in front. All West won by 6. Make Noise was second, Arrival third, Strike a Beat finished 4th.
Well, you'd mentioned the 5 of the 6. Look like the other main contenders in here in All West. Francisco Arrieta, Chris Hartman second off the claim with the win.
I had a little bit of a look for Chris Hartman, who's having a big meet. His horse has been running, and that he didn't take any money off the claim, but now he was in a little bit of an easier spot. Now, Arrival did not have a good trip, and I'm not blaming Giovanni Franco. He didn't break. And I think you expected to see him in front, and he was dead last coming out of the gate. And then I don't think it helped that he was down on the inside, got caught down there, didn't seem to be his best running down there, but the race was over for Arrival at the break.
Good to have everybody with us on this Saturday afternoon. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling with you. We also have Maggie Wolfendale, Gary Stevens with us. And more coming up for both here in New York and at Oaklawn on a fun Saturday afternoon. Beautiful weather here again in New York. Don't think about going away. We're going to take a quick time out. We got more coming up. Including a look back.
Do we have to?
Technical analysis, Plum Ali. Plenty of grace earlier on today's card. We'll show you what happened when we return.
Run Happy was a #1 second crop sire by graded stakes winners and earnings. A leading dirt sire and now is an exciting Kentucky Derby hopeful.
Kicked it into high gear, and Smile Happy with a powerful performance wins by 2.5.
Run Happy continues his rise and is priced for success. Clips champion Run Happy standing in stall 1 at Claiborne Farm.
Back on America's Day at the Races. Good to have you with us. With live action from Aqueduct and Oaklawn Park, we had a stakes race earlier on in the card. Some of you may have seen it. Plenty of grace, and it was a return for a couple of very talented 4-year-old fillies. Technical analysis, what a sensational summer at Saratoga for Chad Brown and Plum Ali for Christophe Clement.
Yeah, and I mean, I think because technical analysis was such a heavy favorite, it was a bit disappointing, but she ran fine. She lost to a good horse in Plum Ali. Had a very good trip on the inside. Technical analysis often drifts really badly in a race. She didn't even drift that badly in this race. And she was outside Oms, who may have softened her up a little. It wasn't a super fast pace. I'm not making an excuse for her. She just was really second best on this day. And I think these are nice performances from all the first three. And Shook's horse, who ran third, narrowly beaten for second. I think she's really a better one-turn type horse. And, you know, I imagine a race like the Intercontinental is probably on the map for her. The Bogey, maybe for the first two finishers here. So just nice efforts all around, and I know Christophe Clement was very happy.
As he should be. And what did technical analysis go off at in the end?
2 to 5.
That was way too low, wasn't
I
it?
agree. It's not like she had some sort of overwhelming speed figure advantage in there. I'm not exactly sure why. I mean, I know it's the Chad Brown factor. This is a pretty good filly. The other thing about Plum Ali last year is they made a, I think Joel Rosario made mistakes with her in taking her too far back in a lot of races. And one of the reasons may have been that she ran so well in the Wonder again. But that's a race where the fractional times and the final time are highly inaccurate, and it was actually a much faster pace, so it played into her. Then she got caught taken back behind slow paces and no chance. Once she's gotten more forward since Manny Franco's been riding her, she's run a lot better. She was an excellent 2-year-old. She had a good close to her 3-year-old year, and she may very well have a very good 4-year-old year.
Very good chance we're going to see these two meet again.
Sure. And they'll be good
It'll be
matchups.
fun, yeah.
They're both good horses.
Take a look at what remains at Aqueduct. Not a lot of time left here in the meet before we head to Belmont Park, the Woodhaven. A couple of New York bred races, memories of silver as well. And speaking of Christophe Clement, that memories of silver, Pizza Bianca. This was a historic win for Clement, getting his first Breeders' Cup winner. That was a tremendous ride.
It was. It was. It was a thrilling race. It really was. And then a horse makes a move like that is just very exciting. And I guess she's coming back. She'll certainly be facing at least one horse from Chad Brown in that race and some others as well. But it's always nice to see Breeders' Cup winners making their returns and horses like that at Aqueduct. Who says we don't have good racing at Aqueduct?
Well, meet winding down, but still some good ones to come, including a Breeders' Cup winner. So that's going to be fun to keep our eyes on. And then a lot to look forward to at Belmont. I just love seeing that ivy on the wall.
Yeah, no, it's always so nice to get back to Belmont, and the weather keeps getting nicer and good races. We've got I think our first grade one will be the Man of War the week after the Derby, a big day of racing. This includes the Peter Pan. I was talking with Christophe Clement, who wants to run Gouffo in the Man of War, but I think Yabir is coming for that race.
Ooh.
I think Gouffo has a chance against him. I thought he ran very well in Florida. I'm not as overwhelmed with Yabir as everybody else. Maybe I'm underrating him. He's a very nice horse, but we'll see.
Breeders' Cup turf winner. That'd be a good showdown. That'd be a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Some early fireworks at that Belmont meet. We're going to take a timeout. We'll be back. More coming up from Oaklawn. Their 9th race is next. 2-turn mile coming up in an allowance optional claiming field, and Hunk of Burnin' Love, an 18-time winner. We'll see load up for Carl Roberg. We'll be back.
The sun shines bright on Caraconte. His first crops of racing age are showing brilliance on the racetrack with a high percentage of stakes winners. His versatility is evidenced by winners on all surfaces across the globe. And his offspring are lighting up the sales ring. With his biggest and best quality of books in the pipeline, the sun shines bright on this value sire. Caraconte, standing at Gainesway.
This season at Monmouth Park, opening day is Derby Day. Live racing returns to the Jersey Shore Saturday, May 7th with a special 2 p.m. first post. The action continues every weekend in May with racing starting at 12:15. Win early and often with our Win Early Pick 5s. New for 2022, on-site customers can lock in odds with fixed odds wagering at Monmouth Park Racetrack.
I'm very bullish on it.
Tom's D'Etat's got a 4-length lead at the 16th pole. Tom's D'Etat has conquered the Clark.
Your best horses of the last 10 or 15 years are not consistently as fast as this horse.
It's total domination for Tom's D'Etat.
He's a beautifully balanced horse and a really good mover, and he's just full of class.
Racetrack Television Network brings you every race, from every track, on every screen, every day. With monthly packages starting as low as $5, RTN gives you great value and access to more live HD streaming and race replays than anyone. Visit RTN.tv today to sign up and watch on almost any device, including Roku and Amazon Fire. RTN has packages that start at $5 per month.
For a time, as many as 350 Major League players converged in Hot Springs, Arkansas each spring to prepare for the upcoming season.
Ownership felt they needed to boil out the alcoholic microbes. Hot Springs was known as a place that had therapeutic waters, and they came for that reason. And then the ball players turned out to love it because they really not only did get in shape, but they had a great time.
By the 1930s, nearly half of all Major League teams had, at some point, used Hot Springs as their spring training base. Plus, about half of all prominent ball players visited Hot Springs individually. Babe Ruth used to visit Hot Springs to work his way into shape, a place to prepare for spring training. In fact, the Babe even used the hot healing waters to recover from influenza. This wall at the Gangsters Museum of America in Hot Springs represents the long list of Hall of Fame baseball greats who trained here. The winter storm of 2021 is a reminder of why baseball eventually migrated away from Hot Springs. The rain proved to be a disruption, and sometimes even the cold and snow wiped out valuable practice time. Although by the 1930s most teams moved to Florida and Arizona, Hot Springs would continue to be a destination for players to work out before joining their major league squads for decades to come.
Well, an incredible history, not just of horse racing, but of course spring training. Those that used to attend the races, including the high-profile gangsters from back in the day. 9th at Oaklawn we have next coming up. Of course, a special afternoon at Oaklawn, the first ever Hall of Fame day. Gary Stevens catching up with some more legends of the sport.
I'm here with Bill Bolin, Hall of Famer, fellow Hall of Famer. Won the Kentucky Derby on Middle Ground back in 1950. You were 16 years old. What was that like, Bill?
Too young, dumb. No, well, I was so young, I really didn't realize what a great thrill it was, you know. The year I got beat, then I understood.
Bill, we've been telling a lot of stories and stuff. You were telling a story earlier over here to all of us about a race you rode going 2 miles in the 16th at the old Jamaica track with Westrope, wasn't it? Jackie Westrope. Can you tell that story real quick?
Well, they had a race in New York, 2 miles in the 16th, and I rode some horse for Alan Jerkins, and he was on the lead all the way, and a horse called Walker Man, and he won by a nose. So after the race, we're walking back, and the owner of the trainer of the horse that finished second said to Jackie, he said, "One more jump and you could have won it." He said, "Who the hell writes a race 2 miles in the 16th in one jump?"
Guys, just some of the stuff that, just telling old stories, and that's one great thing about the chemistry in a jocks room. That's the thing that I miss the most about riding is just being in that jocks room, and things have changed a lot over the times, but great to be here sharing this time with you, Bill.
Thank you. Enjoyed it. They've done a great job here at Oakland, I'll tell you that. Wonderful.
They certainly have. We've enjoyed today, and I'll throw it back to you guys.
It's got to be incredibly special for that group to get together. A bunch of Hall of Famers. Bill Bolin, 1950 Kentucky Derby winner, won the 1950 and 1966 Belmont Stakes as well.
Oh, no, a big name in the sport, no doubt about it.
9th at Oaklawn, this allowance optional claiming group. 2-turn mile and a wide open betting race, including.
Wow, 4-1 favorite.
Oh, back to New York, yeah. 6 furlongs on the turf. 4-1 here on Missing Link. Peter Walder, second off the claim. Javier Castellano will ride. Let's head downstairs. Back with us, Acacia Courtney Clement.
And thanks, Greg. And talking about Missing Link, a horse that I know quite well, having seen her many times down in South Florida, picked up by Peter Walder from Dave Fox. And she is a pretty honest type in that she shows up every time. Conformationally speaking, she's a little bit tough to love as she's in the saddling stalls right now. But she does have that sway back and that there's a dip in her back and she's very long-bodied. But that being said, she always carries her weight well as she can from race to race, and she's really well muscled in her hindquarters. Once again, her coat looks terrific coming up from Florida, and she does have some speed, given the fact that she is a pretty energetic type as well, type of filly, in that she broke well, kind of stumbled after the break last time out, and she's very high-headed. She's a tricky one to ride, as well as having that kind of conformational issue in that she is sway back. Doesn't hurt them, doesn't bother them while they're running, but it does seem to make that a little bit of a question as far as how she carries her weight. The number 7, Freedom of the Press, meanwhile, off of a layoff, was late coming into the paddock. She was a handful, had to be escorted by the Outrider pony, but once they got the tack on her, she really has settled down quite well, Greg.
All right, Acacia, thanks. Post parade we're going to get to here in a moment. 10 minutes away from this 9th here in New York. 50,000 starter allowance, 6 furlongs over the outer turf, and if you're just joining us, rail out 12 feet on the outer turf today. We have a new audience joining us right now. Slight pause, and then we'll get back to a post parade coming up. Welcome to those rejoining us, hopefully, on FS2. We stepped away for a little while over on FS2, but back with you now. And we'll bring you the last couple on the card here in New York, more from Oaklawn as well. Greg Wolf, Andy Serling, Acacia, Courtney Clement. We have Gary Stevens out